Max Verstappen's Red Bull future is hanging by a thread, and it's getting out of control. The Austrian outfit now appears poised to do something never done in the history of Formula One, something extreme. In the wake of her departure, obviously a rebalancing to appease Max, Red Bull might now go as far as to include Dutchman Max's name in the official team name. But is this outrageous risk a sign of complete desperation? Is Red Bull imploding from within, and is this their last-ditch attempt to keep Verstappen in red and blue? The implosion is no longer subtle, it's front-page news. It began with the shocking exit of Adrian Newey, and it snowballed quickly. Newey left first, then Wheatley, then Korcher, and it all came down to Christian Horner's drama. A step that seemed to validate one thing: Max's troubled future was just too much for the team to gamble on. The Austrian owners, now majority owners of the team, didn't blink. They pulled the trigger. That's not the only step they're said to be willing to take, however. According to Formula1.it, Red Bull is now willing to let Verstappen become the title sponsor of one of their two teams. Yes, you heard that correctly. The team that used to keep the Red Bull flag flying high might soon carry the name Verstappen. It's like science fiction, but when you think about where the team is today, it starts to make sense. Their sister team has already endured hundreds of name changes, from using what was initially a feeder team and turning it into a rotating billboard for sponsorships. So, would it be so unimaginable if Team Verstappen dominates the grid? This is a team torn apart from within. Jos Verstappen's prediction is aging like a fine wine. As long as she's there, Red Bull will disintegrate. And now that she's departed, the mayhem still hasn't stopped. Max's future is still uncertain. And that's why Red Bull is in a state of hysteria to give him anything, everything, to keep him. But think about what this means. If Max Verstappen receives naming rights for a Formula One team, one very clear message will be sent: the driver is larger than the team these days. And that is not optimal. Even Mercedes did not afford Hamilton this much freedom. They did support his Project 44 initiative, but that is light years away from slapping his name on the side of an F1 car. Ferrari did not do that with Schumacher. This type of worship, this is unheard of. Red Bull is this desperate. That much is clear. And with the 2025 title likely no longer in their hands in both drivers' and constructors' tables, they're trying to cling to short-term solutions rather than long-term security. But this is the truth: Verstappen will not be at Red Bull for life. That's reality. So instead of bending the team to fit him now, maybe Red Bull should start thinking about a post-Verstappen future. What the team really needs is technical direction. The gap left by Newey's departure is huge. And now that Pierre Wache and Enrico Balbo, two of Horner's closest right-hand men, are trying to push on with the car's development, the cracks are starting to show. The upgrades are not working. We've seen our Mad Max again, but not in the all-conquering manner to which we're accustomed. Even their style has become suspect. And without Horner, that unpredictability has further amplified. This whole debacle is to serve one purpose: Red Bull is where Max Verstappen leads them. And they've realized that very few drivers on the grid, if any, are in a position to wrangle the RB21 or the beast of a 2026 candidate. So they're providing everything, short of the keys to the kingdom, to prevent Max from walking out. But will that bet come home? Granting Verstappen so much authority could blow up in a similar disastrous fashion as the Horner drama. A team can't operate when one individual looms over them. Have Red Bull taken anything from recent months? That's the question that now needs to be replied by the Austrian group. Does Max remaining indeed become a guarantee with Horner's departure? The overall supposition was that with Avida selling the 2% stakes and the Austrian side being majority shareholders, Max would be pacified at all costs. While, following the recent encounter that he and Wool had in Sardinia, we came to learn that the four-time world champion is far from safe as far as being retained in Red Bull is concerned. The recent agreement that they have for Verstappen is more of a negative signal that they're resolute that Max will remain in the team now that he's out of the question. Recent reports showed that Verstappen is looking for stability. And although that would be guaranteed now that Horner is no longer the team principal and CEO of the team, the main technical personnel have all departed. So even if you have stability within the team now, you don't have experienced individuals to rectify the mistakes that took the car to where it is today. Only 7 points have been scored by a non-Verstappen driver in the RB21S. And with 74% of Red Bull's points in 2024 having been scored by Verstappen, I think that the Austrian outfit well know what is so important and vital in keeping the four-time world champion on their wavelength. So what are the benefits and drawbacks of signing for Mercedes? If you're Max Verstappen, you're going to be on a team that's going to dominate the newly regulated era for a beginning, or at least possess a significant advantage over the rest of the grid. It's a different world, and it's a test in your career to prove the entire Formula One world that you're able to win titles with more than one team. Apart from that, you'll be taking your brand to a new set of people and you'll have a whole lot of new fans. Though, it would be near impossible for Mercedes fans to support Verstappen following what went down in 2021. Nevertheless, we all see how Hamilton's flip happened to Ferrari and how the entire world welcomed the reality of this being an unforgiving, cruel sport. But then again, what is Verstappen to gain if he sticks with Red Bull and is given the opportunity of having his name on the team, either Red Bull or Racing Bulls? Well, from a business point, it is a big gain for Verstappen's dynasty in Formula One because he'd get to promote lots of his own businesses through this platform. After all, he's a very successful driver, and a switch like this could possibly make him so encouraged to continue racing many years past his 30s. Something that he forcefully denied on multiple occasions until now, and especially now that he's turned father. But at the same time, it could also provide him with unprecedented power in which he'd have the authority to make decisions that will defy the shareholders' assumption. After all, as good as Verstappen is behind the wheel, he is not a decision-maker or businessman. He is a Formula One driver. He's very good at driving these engineering monsters, not taking huge decisions in hiding. And if something emotional or personal occupies his mind, then I believe that he won't be willing to give up until it goes this way. One of the truly massive questions here is being borne by the engines too. Naturally, Red Bull are embarking on the new era with their new powertrain packages, which will be badged by Ford. Since they're going to be technically rookies like Audi, they will likely be one of the worst on the grid. And if you'd have some idea about Max Verstappen, you'd realize the last thing he'd do is drive for any spot less than P1. I understand this is the dream of all drivers out there. But who has the heart like Max, and who has shown the implementation like the four-time world champion when so many people doubted him? But if Verstappen wants to receive an answer on this question, then it would become crucial for him to race for Red Bull at least for 1 year during 2026. Obviously, chances to enter teams like Mercedes do not occur very often in the future. And that is why we'll want to urge him to make something very soon. Max is not rushing, however, and informed us that he's committed to his deal, which runs until 2028. But with everything being so up in the air at the moment, will this last offer from Red Bull prove enough to keep Max in their ranks? All of that said, what do you think of the desperate measures Red Bull are taking in an attempt to keep Verstappen on the team? And more importantly, do you think that things can go from bad to worse pretty darn quickly for the Austrian team if Max is willing to become a title sponsor and include his own name on the team with which he won 4 titles? We will let you know in the comments section below. And then just click on the video which is appearing on your screen right now.